And joining us now with more is Peter Kaufman, President and Head of Restructuring at Gordian Group. I mean, you're the best dressed man in distressed investing.
Well, that may be damning with faint praise, but thank you.
No, not at all. It's good to see you. Yesterday's ruling, the impact on Detroit, does it save the city? Does it bring investment back? And also, what about some of these other cities like Stockton or San Bernardino, for example?
Well, it was such an interesting and important ruling that Judge Rhodes made. He's a great judge. He's very careful. He almost never gets overruled. And so he was very careful with what he did. And so you've got the interesting stuff that's going on in Detroit, which we'll talk about, and then there's also the impact on the rest of the country. And so what he found was he made some fact findings that the city did qualify for a bankruptcy filing because the state had authorized it. The city's insolvent, and even though the city, he found, didn't negotiate in good faith with their creditors, he found that that really didn't matter because there were over 100,000 creditors. That wasn't going to happen anyway. He also went further and said, by the way, bankruptcy law, federal bankruptcy law, trumps the state constitution that holds municipal pensions inviolate. And he said, I would like to not see deep cuts, and I don't want to see any cuts unless the whole thing is fair and equitable. Now, fair and equitable is a bankruptcy term. It doesn't mean that it's fair. And it's definitely not fair to try and restructure a city on the backs of its municipal pensions. What it means is there's got to be an equitable sharing of the pain.
So they're on the same plane. They're on the same line as the creditors, right?
As the bondholders, people who have invested money. Cities and states, municipalities are always concerned about compromising people who've invested money because they want them to invest in the future. So there's a lot of, this is a very, very interesting and important decision.
Well, let's stay with Detroit just really quickly. Do you believe that new loans and investments will come into the city once the restructuring is done here?
Yeah, and I think that they actually have, with this ruling, and assuming it doesn't get overturned, and Judge Rhodes is pretty clear, he's not stopping the proceedings while the very well lawyered unions go appeal this. You've got a lot of assets in Detroit. The art collection, for example, somebody could come in, loan money, even immediately or in the near future to Detroit, collateralized by the art collection, and give them some needed fuel. But the mismatch between their finances and their debt is huge. They're projecting about $200 million in a revenue shortfall this year. They've got debt of over $18 billion. They've got $3.5 billion of unfunded pensions, and there's going to be a huge sharing of the pain amongst everyone.
Does it change what's going on in other cities? Just really quickly, Stockton, for example.
Yeah, I think that this is, he's such a well-respected judge. This is such a precedential decision. Detroit's already said, Kevin Orr, the city manager, has already said that he's going to demand that bondholders take cents on the dollar, and that's a huge deal that isn't even being talked about here. So yes, I do think that that's going to embolden, if not decisions by those cities and the bankruptcy judges, it's going to force everybody to the table to try and reach consensus, which I suspect was at the heart of what Judge Rhodes was trying to do.
It was great to see you, Peter. Please come back
Absolutely.
more often. All right, Peter Kaufman of Gordian Group. Take care.
Okay, from that discussion about pensions to another.